Big round of applause for
Good afternoon, everybody. It's my pleasure to preside over this function, as I have been repeatedly telling, celebrating a particular day is to remind ourselves, our colleagues, our family, and common people about the importance of the day. Rightly said, part of the treatment, management of various diseases, a person is suffering, community is suffering. A family physician has to be well knowledgeable, well skilled, and he should be able to apply his mind, apply his skills for the betterment, early management of the patient who approaches him. He has a dual responsibility in diagnosing and in knowing which patients are to be managed at what level. He is a guide to the patient, to the attendants, if he applies rightly his skills and knowledge. The concept of family medicine is very less in our state, but outside it is a well-developed field of practice, including in our India also. If we want to have the early diagnosis, family physician has a very important and essential role. If you want to minimize the complications of the disease, he has a vital role. And after development of complication, if a patient comes to a family physician, it is his guidance which will make the patient comfortable by referring him to a proper person, proper way. Otherwise, we see most of the patients, psychiatric patients being treated by a physician years together. Psychiatric patients being treated by the cardiologist because there is no guidance. They do not approach, there is no concept of family medicine in our state. And hopefully, we are going to lay the stone basement for development of this family medicine in our state. Inshallah, in future years, we will see a lot of achievements, and by those achievements we can be helpful to the patients of our state and every family physician. And fortunately, now the family medicine has been started in our institution. This time we have 4 or 5 candidates are there. Especially in medicine, we have 3. 2 are from the state, 1 is from outside the state. And it is their responsibility. Not only here, wherever they will go, they should do their duties with dedication. They should guide. They should obtain the skills in diagnosing patient, in management of the patient, and especially in referring which patients have to be referred and to whom we have to refer. They have to consult. They should consult the advice of family. They should have a proper communication with the referring specialist. They are to order for the investigations, and they should have a liaison with the various investigating agencies or departments. With these words, I welcome all of you and hope you will take a message that we have to be well skilled, well knowledgeable in every aspect, in the management aspect, diagnostic aspect, as well as in the reference of the patient. Thank you.
As the new century began, there was a strong sense that medical practices were far behind those of European countries. There was a wide gap between scientific growth and medical education. Many saw the need to reform medical education and establish standards. In 1928, Indian Medical Association was established. Objectives were to purify the profession from this doping, establish standards for medical education based on scientific principles, promote standards for public health, sanitation, food and drugs. In 2010, Academy of Family Physicians of India was established, aim of promoting family medicine and primary health care. The Academy is working towards empowering of primary care physicians in India for better health outcomes. AFPI advocates academic institutionalization of community health services as an outcome of advocacy initiative of AFPI. The first MD family medicine program was started at KMC, Kerala, and AIMS have established a new department in the name of Department of Community Medicine and Family Medicine. Most medical graduates are not aware of family medicine, the vocational training for community-based skilled medical practitioners capable of taking care of 90% of the clinical conditions.
Good evening to our further family session here. Actually, today we have to discuss a little bit about the coordination between a family physician and a cardiologist. I think especially for cardiology, especially because heart is very special. If you don't take care of heart within few minutes, it will get necrosed and then whatever you do that will be of no benefit. You will just land the patient in heart failure and he will throw his life suffer with the heart failure. He will not be able to even go to the bathroom because of your problem. You kept the patient inside just waiting that his myocardium will get necrosed and then you will do whatever you do then. You put stent or you do whatever, that will have no benefit. So heart as a special, because heart is very special, that's why we read during MBS also. MBS itself is not a simple degree as a simple MBS. MBS is very difficult degree. While you finish MBS in 6 years, you can reach up to PhD or you can do MSc or some other degrees. So MBS itself is such a degree that the main aim is to become a good doctor. You become a good doctor, you serve the patient better, and you should have a good human heart that you will not harm the patient. Like this, the first thing is that do no harm. We read in this during I don't know where we read it, but we read first thing is do no harm. So today I have prepared some just few slides just to say how this family physician is important. Dr. Knowing this, Dr. Gowher, that he is in Saudi, I have also been in Saudi few years. So family physician there is very important. He takes care of the patient even at home. The stroke patients, the other patients. So there is a coordinated system. Actually, unfortunately, their family system is not working in this form. So you there visit the family, stroke patients, you take care of the patients at their home, which are terminal, I just mentioned a few about that. So it is just that family physician, any degree is special. So family physician is very important because it is the first contact to the patient. The backbone of initial contact and care in every department solely depends on capability of a family physician to manage and route the patient in proper direction. If you don't know how to diagnose at your level, this ECG and other heart attack, you will just say, okay, no problem, let's go home. So the patient will suffer. So the main thing is that you should know the things, everything, ECG, you should know the this cardiac physiology, the cardiac cycle, everything. So this is the refinement. So family physician, you have to know each and everything. Family physician also includes some pediatrics and other things, but medicine is the main part of the family medicine. So in many countries, family medicine also takes care of stroke and other chronic comorbidities at your doorsteps, which I have seen also. Next slide, please. For a cardiologist, it is only possible to treat a cardiac patient if properly picked up by a family physician who is in first contact with the patient. So myocardial infarction, if picked up appropriate time, will get the best results because muscle of the myocardium gets necrosed if we just put the patient in ward and not revascularize immediately. So we have to think this. Next slide, please. Hospice care. This is a special section of the family medicine which the family physicians are getting. Hospice care for terminally ill patients is also provided by the family medicine. So patients, they are in a unique position to provide the family physicians actually provide end of life care, which includes recognizing the need and recommending hospice care when appropriate. Next slide. It's important to remember that despite the potential conflicts of interest, excellent patient care is at the heart of all hospice organizations. Family physicians are in a unique position to contribute to patient care at the end of life through communication, continuity of care, and knowledge of your patient families. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
So first, actually the main reason I had actually only given the option of family medicine in my choice during my counseling, and the sole reason initially was for money. And to be honest, as someone who has brought up in Qatar, the Middle East is very dear to me, and I took this course in aspiration to quickly settle in the Middle East. And family medicine was my easy ticket to the Middle East, as a great portion of doctors in the Middle East come from countries like India, where it's not very well established. And therefore, since there is a lesser supply of family physicians from these countries, there is lesser competition and a greater demand for family physicians. So this is, for example, a site of Abu Dhabi, Department of Health. And this is similar in all of the Middle East. They have placed family medicine in second place after emergency medicine as suitable eligible clinical practice for GP practice. Now I had a very strong interest in emergency medicine also, but because it involves having a lot of night duties, which I don't enjoy, I went for family medicine. And in order to work as a specialist in the Middle East, it requires post your undergraduate, it requires at least 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. Only then you are eligible to work as a specialist. But as a family physician, after my diploma, I can go directly and then make myself a specialist. So it was an easy ticket for me. But now, initially my decision was based on materialistic needs such as acquiring quick financial stability and returning to the living standards I was familiar in my childhood. But now that I'm almost entering the 8th month of my course, I have grown to love my field and I see much potential in it. So first, let me just introduce what family medicine is. Family medicine is a multi-specialty discipline where the physician is trained in the most common IPD, OPD, emergencies, minor OT, and office procedures of most clinical disciplines, in particular medical disciplines, with a greater focus on internal medicine, pediatrics, and obstetrics and gynecology. It was initially established in 1970s as a means in the USA as a means of improving primary and secondary healthcare by furthering the training of doctors, such that the unnecessary need for referral to tertiary care was minimized. It was proven a great success, and many countries, including countries in the Middle East, have since established the field into their healthcare setting. So this is, for example, from the country in which I was brought up. This is Qatar, Primary Healthcare Corporation, and it's a very well-established corporation. And it is primarily focused in family medicine. So India has also recently introduced family medicine with such a goal in mind in order to minimize referrals to tertiary centers. As you know, our hospitals are very busy and overly populated. As many of our CHCs and sub-district hospitals do not have sufficiently trained personnel. This is also why we have a large CHC rotation as part of our course. It's mostly focused on secondary care. Certain states such as Kerala have already started initiatives to accommodate family physicians into secondary setups like CHCs and SDHs. After my MBBS and my internship, so why have I grown to love the field? After my MBBS and my internship, as most undergraduates do, I felt quite inadequate to treat the diseases that I had studied from the textbooks. After internship, many undergraduates, they enter junior residency in one field that they had learned about and still remain inadequate at treating diseases in other fields. So, as they haven't really received a real touch or feel of the patient. So, they have learned from the textbooks, they haven't felt. For example, someone might enter junior residency in internal medicine, they wouldn't have a clue on how to take a delivery, for example. So, I feel so grateful that today, just with 7 months of exposure in family medicine, I have the confidence to deliver the mother, realize that the neonate is in distress, resuscitate the neonate, and then go back and do the episodic suture of the mother. Now, I'm not claiming I'm an expert, but I have some level of confidence. I can thrombolize an elderly man with an MI and simultaneously treat his daughter who has now had an anxiety attack. So, and tomorrow when I move into ortho, I will learn how to approximate fractures and apply splints. When I move into derma, I'm going to help people treat their acne, for example. Okay, we are unique physicians in that we get to treat the mother, the child, the father, and the grandfather. Thus, we are family physicians. Family medicine really makes you feel like a doctor. It allows you to put your foot through the door in all fields as someone who has received at least some formalized training in all clinical specialties and have a real touch and feel for all these different cases and have actively managed them. Of course, this also means that the time you give in each specialty is limited, which means that your expertise in one particular field may be lesser than your counterpart postgraduate who has given all the time to only that field. But the important thing is that your foot is now in the door and you have lived through the management of all of these cases and skills, which you can now develop over a lifetime in all these different fields. And nobody can claim that you're not trained to treat those cases because you have actively managed them. You can choose to broaden the horizons of your skill set as much as you want. And as a prime example is when in one of the D&D family medicine past papers, they asked about the steps of hernia surgery. So because some family physicians were performing hernia surgery, and this is an extreme example. I personally I wouldn't do something like that. But in case you do not want to broaden your horizon and you are no longer interested in studying further, you're like, I've studied for so many years, I don't want to study anymore. As a family physician, you always have the option to refer to tertiary care hospitals. We do not bear the burden of excessive responsibility. So that gives a certain level of freedom as a family physician. So now I have changed my plan from going into the Middle East directly after my diploma and making money to doing the 2-year post-diploma family medicine degree inshallah, as I have fallen in love with this field, and trust me, this says a lot. We family physicians who are doing our diplomas in this government, why the change of mind? Why did I change my mind? We family physicians who are doing our diplomas in these government hospitals are getting this unique opportunity that we're getting to handle so many cases. And then we have this opportunity to systemize and hone our skills in big private setups in large cities like Delhi or our own states, because our field is still relatively less competitive. So if we put in some effort, we can easily get whatever hospital we want. We have the unique opportunity to first time witness the best of both government and private hospitals. So that's why I want to pursue my degree. Also, I consider it fortunate as a diploma student that I can get 4 years of formalized training in the field instead of 2, because our exposure is divided between all the fields, and the more training I can get, it is better for me. So what are the prospects of family medicine? We've already discussed that going abroad is a very easy prospect and working in CHCs, but beyond that, many family physicians are very successful and well equipped to run a polyclinic because of the multi-specialty exposure, especially in smaller cities and towns. There is also the possibility of furthering your training in one specialty or subspecialty which you have found particularly interesting. Some family physicians, especially in Western countries, they stick to one field. So they don't do the whole polyclinic thing, they either do gynecology or pediatrics or internal medicine. You could of course also reattempt NEET after your course, after your diploma or degree, if you have found one particular field particularly interesting, as you now possess a thorough understanding what each field entails. So that's my
We are going to start today's felicitation session. First of all, I request Dr. Gowher and Professor Ghulam Jeelani Romshoo to please come on the stage. Dr. Gowher will felicitate our guest of honor. Now I requested Romshoo sir to please felicitate our vice panelist, Dr. Gowher. Dr. Hyder Mahmood.
For facilitating Dr. Hyder, I was impressed by his speech. And he has changed my mind. He has been sincere and caring that he had adopted this family medicine just to go to Middle East. And now he has taken a bold decision to serve his community at his level, and inshallah he will be earning more than what he was supposed to earn.
Dr. Bilal sir. Now it is my turn. Dr. Sheikh Nisar sir. Dr. Trinity Kumari ma'am. Dr. Arif Hussain. Now Dr. Nisar sir will felicitate the rest of the participants. Dr. Muhammad Shamoon. Munazzah Hamid. Now I request Dr. Bilal